Today's interview is a special one. I have three brothers on the show today, the Donis Brothers, and it's a really phenomenal interview. They're young guys, but they've got old heads on young shoulders. They started out wholesaling, but they've now transitioned into multifamily. And the cool thing about them is that they have a vision for everything they're doing, and there's a reason for everything that they're doing, and that's unusual for guys of their age. So a lot to be learned from today's interview. So stick around for all that great stuff. Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multifamily real estate investor, Barri Griffiths. Now today we have an exceptionally special show, the first time ever, I think, on Wrestling with Real Estate. I told the guys before, and it's kind of like a mini Royal Rumble in here because we've got three guys, and not just three guys on the call with me, but they're all brothers. So I'm excited to have the Donis Brothers, right? I guess if you guys were a team, you'd be maybe the Donis Brothers. I know I like the sound of that name. So appreciate all you guys getting on the call. It's going to be a fun interview. But we have Kenny, Jeffrey, and Cohen. Sorry, so that everyone knows who we have on there. But before we dive into the conversation, and it'll be a very fun and easy conversation today, no doubt. Do you one of you guys want to kind of give an introduction into who you are and kind of what you guys have been up to?
Yeah. So my name's Jeffrey Donis. My brothers Kerwin and Kenneth Donis. We're out of Durham, North Carolina. We're pretty much just young real estate entrepreneurs. We started in wholesaling last year. We did some creative finance deals, and then we transitioned into multifamily real estate where we do apartment syndication. We are just pretty much taking action every day and just trying to grow our business. So I really do appreciate your time, Barry. I love the energy. I used to watch WWE growing up, so it's kind of like, it's awesome to be able to be on the show. I appreciate you having us.
Of course, man. Hey, man, the pleasure's all mine. I'm really happy to have you guys on here, and it's loving what you guys are all about. And that's interesting, right? You guys are, not to harp on the young thing, because I'm sure you guys, I remember when I was young, people said, "Oh, you're young," right? Well, I wish people call me young now, right? But when you're young, you don't want to hear it all the time, right? It gets really annoying. But obviously, no doubt that you guys are young, but to be in real estate already and have that mindset, and to you guys have been in it a year, right? So you were even younger when you started. What was it about real estate that attracted you, and how did you kind of get started to start off with? What pushed you into real estate?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I was actually in college, and I was sitting watching The Breakfast Club, which is I'm not sure if you're familiar with The Breakfast Club, but it's just like a little radio show that hip hop artists go on and speak about. And they actually had a guy named Mark Wayne come on, and he started talking about wholesaling real estate and how that's like the gateway into real estate. And not to say I was always interested in real estate, but he started speaking about how he's been able to provide for his family and pretty much provide a lot of money so that he can do things that he wanted with his time. So that's kind of what got us into real estate. And we've always been after the passive income aspect of things. And I can kind of let my brothers explain as to why we transitioned into multifamily.
Yeah, so actually the first winter break we had in college, we went to Guatemala. That's where my mom's from. And she recently, was able to travel because she had a residency, so she was finally able to travel. And we went to our small rural town in Guatemala. It was very impoverished. And we just really got like a reality check of how the privileges we have as being first generation Americans and being born here. And we saw that they didn't have clean water. They don't have like things like Wi-Fi and things that we just take for granted. And we were in Guatemala at the time. And we sat down and we just decided, God, we can't waste this opportunity that we have here. We really have to, when we get back, like day one, we're going to start hustling, not just for us, but finally, I feel like that was what we needed to really kickstart things. That gave us a greater why. And we want to help provide for not only our family in Guatemala, but other people that don't have the advantages of any American who lives here. And so that's why we're really passionate about chasing financial freedom, just so that we can really pursue our greater goals and help others along the way.
Yeah, that's incredible and awesome at the same time, because it's true, right? We're surrounded by everything that we have every day, and people have more than us, and we want more. And okay, that's okay to, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting more, right? But we really are in a privileged situation, and we don't realize that, right? It takes traveling to kind of see that sometimes. And like you guys, I've traveled a little bit, and I went to Ethiopia one year, and you realize that you go with these tribes and they have nothing, and they're so happy. That was the craziest part to me. Like, we call these countries third world countries, right? But like, who's really the third world country, right? We're unhappy because we don't have the latest iPhone. We don't unhappy that we don't have the biggest house, that we still have to work 8 hours a day or whatever, right? And again, I'm not knocking anyone for wanting more. We should want more and we should go after it. And this is exactly the reason why. But you wonder sometimes, where is happiness, right? That's what we're all striving for, essentially. That's why we're doing for everything, to be happier people, right? To have a better lives and everything that goes along that. You wonder sometimes, like, are we better off being in the middle of a field nowhere, in the middle of nowhere with no real worries, right? Or are we better off being where we are? Undoubtedly, we're better off where we are. But it's good to have that realization of what is out there and how lucky we are, and that we owe it to ourselves and other people to go after it, right? And seize that moment and make the best of our lives, because we have that opportunity that so many other people don't.
Yeah, and that's so true. I mean, our family, they were so humble and so grateful for everything, even like just the smallest gifts and food and water. And like we had a birthday celebration while we were there, and they were just so happy. And it's something that we were like, like I said, it was a reality check. I mean, because we are so privileged here, and we thought, oh, like we're impoverished here because we're low income. We come from a low income background in America, but we were like, that's nothing compared to what they are. That's true poverty, you know. So that really was kind of put everything in perspective for us.
Yeah, and growing up, I mean, since we have like all three of us, we would outgrow our clothes, and we would see our mom like sending boxes over to Guatemala. But we never actually been there, so you don't really notice what's going on and where the clothes goes. We went over there, and clothes that I had worn like 5 years later ago, or like 10 years ago when I was like really young, completely forgot about all the clothes. They were still wearing them every day. So it just like that small thing I immediately noticed, and I was like, oh my God, like I remember that shirt. Like you just notice it immediately, and it's just kind of like it was like a very humbling, like Kerwin said, to see people using things that I took for granted, down to like the clothes that I wasn't wearing anymore, that was just taking up room in my drawers. So it definitely humbled us, and it made us really motivated to come back and try to do something more, because we were here kind of complacent in a way, I would say. We weren't really looking at the resources that we had, and we weren't taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and is that what kind of spurred that entrepreneurial mindset? Because Kenneth, you mentioned that you were in college, right? And when you go to college, a lot of people, they go to college, and the path there is college, get a, climb the W-2 ladder, right? And hopefully by the time you're 60, you can retire and you have enough money to that. Hopefully you don't outlive your money at that point, right? Your retirement. That's kind of the path that everyone goes to, right? Did you have something more inside of you that was spurring you on at that point when you heard this guy talk about wholesaling?
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because I've always, in my life, I mean, I remember one instance when I was, in the shower and I was in high school, and I heard the word entrepreneur, and I was like, what does that mean? And I was thinking to myself, like, in order to become an entrepreneur, in order to become successful, you have to invent something. So I didn't know the true meaning to entrepreneurship. Like, entrepreneurship could, of course, be an invention, or it can be a service. But what really kind of flipped the switch was for me and for my brothers and I was when we read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. That is when it changed. Like we got insight that we've never seen before, and I started understanding that it was okay to try another path. And that's kind of what made it okay for me to kind of I ended up dropping out of college and just pursuing real estate full time. And I felt like that was okay because I knew that I wasn't just going to sit on the couch. I was actually going to do something purposefully to become more successful than I believed I was going to be.
Was there a challenge with that? I'm sure your mom is she originally from Guatemala, or she's
yeah, she was born there.
Right. So I'm sure and I've spoken to a lot of people who have people that are from other countries. Their dream is to have their kids go to college, right? Because from what their understanding is, that's the best path to success and to have this great life, right? Because that's what they've heard and seen and think it is the way, right? So was there a challenge with that when you decided to drop out of college, even though you believed in this path and it's a great path? Real estate is phenomenal, right? But was there a challenge there with your mom and trying to persuade her this is what I'm doing?
Yeah, no, 100%. So I dropped out as well. Okay. I went to school for a year. And just to quickly backtrack, you had the thing that got me into real estate or just entrepreneurship was reading a lot of books. It was almost like I didn't know it at the time, but I didn't feel right at school. Like I was getting really good grades. I had like a 4.0 GPA, and I was spending so much time studying, spending so much time in the library, and it really wasn't like I had like 3 more years and I didn't feel satisfied. But then I started reading books, and I noticed that there's another path. And Rich Dad Poor Dad really opened my eyes to it. And just finding wholesaling showed me that there's a way I can make money today in real estate. So just seeing that it was a possibility was something I was addicted to. And then we got sent home from COVID because of the dorm situation. They sent us home, and that kind of like triggered our situation. I feel like personally for me, I was like, okay, now I can just stay at home and just grind and not have any excuses, no going out, nothing. So we completely went like balls to the wall for like the next 6 months. It took us 5 months to get our first deal, but really educating myself on the entrepreneurship mindset and the growth mindset really was the thing that I feel like for me changed my mindset. And I told my mom was like, "You're going back to school," and I was like, "I don't know." Like, I personally, I was telling my brother, like, "I'm not. If you're not going back, I'm not going back." And then he was like, and then he dropped out, and then or he was like, "I'm not going back," because we made like our first deal, we made like 30,000 or something like that. And we were like, "We're not going back after this. Like, there's no way." And then I told my mom that, but it was really like before the first time we started, up until the 5 months, it was a lot of like, there's nothing to show for it. She was really just like not really believing in us. She was getting mad at us for using our savings money, and she was like, "This is the last time I give you money out of our own account." She wouldn't even let us take money out anymore because we kept spending it, and she wasn't seeing any return on our investment. But eventually, when you get that, they call it a shut up check. When you give that to her, you're like, "Mom, look," like, "Mom, look, this is real. Like, we're doing it." And it really just changes because like where we come from, we don't really see that type of money from anyone, especially kids our age, like or people our age. Not to say that like not to degrade ourselves, but my mom had never seen any type of money like that fast. So we showed that it's possible and that we're working really hard. And she saw that every single day that we were serious about it. Like I wasn't going out partying and stuff. I was really just working hard on this. So it was hard. She cried a lot for my older brother because he was really close and he was just crying. But like we all got through it. And now it's all obviously it's been going well. So
Now she's on board now, or she's still a little skeptical?
yeah, she's on board. She's on board. She's proud of us now. Thanks.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, because that's important, right?
She still tells me you should have at least tried to finish, but she kind of sees the light at the end of the tunnel now. Like at first it was a little difficult, like my brother explained, but now it's there. She sees it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest. I'm the only one that didn't drop out, but I have other interests. I'm interested in writing a book, and so I'm an English major, and I'm a creative writing major. So that's where my focus is. But I did transition from a business major to a creative writing major, just because I realized that I don't have to go to college for a job. I'm not going for money. I'm doing it for my passion and what I like, and I think more people should do that. Like it's okay to go to college, but I think people should do it for something they love, not for money. And to kind of touch on what you mentioned, yeah, it was hard. I witnessed it firsthand. I was kind of like, I was advocating for them to, at first I was like, maybe you should think about not dropping out. But then I was like, you know what, like do it. And I tell my mom, like, all right, not everybody has the same path. And just coming from an immigrant background, it's hard enough for a lot of immigrants, especially if they're not documented. But my mom fortunately was legalized and was naturalized a few months ago. My point is like they're very risk averse. They don't want to take risks, and they think that college it is a kind of at least for an immigrant who comes from like working in the fields, that's a safe route to a steady job, which to them is success. But entrepreneurship is like just for most Americans, it's crazy. But coming from somebody who literally comes from like dirt poverty, that's even more crazy. So it took some time for us to kind of just show her what it was, and obviously we had to have results, and once we did, I think she was on board, and now she's one of our biggest advocates. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Because, I think a lot of people got not the same situation as you guys, but, family, friends, people they know all around them, right? Real estate is risky, right? And I hear it all the time that people want to invest, they want to go for it, but they're hearing all these people say, I had an uncle's cousin who once lost everything in it. Well, you start diving in and they didn't manage it, right? They didn't run it like a business, right? They just got whoever they could into the rental property and they trashed the place. Well, surprise, surprise, right? But it's hard not to listen to these voices all around you. But I think what I'm getting for you guys is that why and that belief in what you're doing was so strong that you guys had to do it, right? You owed it to each other to kind of push forward with that. So I think that's really cool. I think that's a lesson for most people.
Yeah. And sorry, I just want to add, I did, like, for me, at least we read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then I went into my freshman year of college, and I started cold calling for a flipper in the area. And I started cold calling. That's kind of where I got my feet wet. So we did have some like action before, but we didn't really start it because we were saying, we're going to wait till after the college year is over so we can really focus on it in the summer. But in between that, we went to Guatemala and we were like, what are we waiting for? Like, time is the most valuable thing we have. We just got to take action and start our own company. I was tired of calling for someone else. I was like, I'm calling already. I might as well call for myself. And that's when Kenny took out some debt and we went into the hole a little bit, but we had faith, and everything it's history from there.
So you guys started.
I think,
go ahead. Sorry.
Just quickly, I think the biggest thing for all of us was like having a clear vision that we were able to convince my mom to like see, because like, we were like, Mom, our goal is to retire her as soon as possible. Because she works from like 6 o'clock to like 8 p.m. every day for the last like 40 years. She's done that every day. So like for us, That's our main goal. And we had to tell her, Mom, we go to school for 3 more years and you work for 3 more years, and then we won't even be able to retire you because my W-2 job that I'm going to get won't even be able to afford that. Or we do this in like less than 2 years. We're able to do this fast, and we're going to be able to build generational wealth where like nobody in our family will have to get a job. They'll be able to do what they truly want to do. And then we pretty much every single day are just saying that, Mom, like we're gonna retire you soon. Be ready. Like have some type of option that you want to do because like it's coming. And she finally like started like once she started showing her money and like showing her the vision. It's really what I'm trying to say. Is really I think the thing that kind of sold them. And then we obviously knew our vision, so that's what really kept us going. Like when we took out that debt, it was scary. We were like $2,000 in debt off his credit card, and we really had no income coming in. Like, we had no idea we were gonna get it, but we really just believed, and we were taking so much action. Like it kind of put fire under our feet, and we got it done. So.
How do you, so you guys started with wholesaling, right? And I think Cohen said you were calling for another wholesaler to start off with, but in terms of getting your own business going and you guys starting with yourselves, how did you guys get started? What was your initial approach to this?
Yeah. So like Cohen said, he was the one starting cold calling. Once we got back, Kenneth pretty much just started binging YouTube videos. He told me like what videos to watch. I just started taking as much action education wise. And then we started cold calling on dialers. So I was currently a college student. I was cold calling in between like my dinner and then my last class of the day. And in 2 hours, I would cold call. Curly would do 2 hours. And then Kenneth was the person that had the car because I didn't have a car at college. So he was the one driving to appointments, meeting with sellers, and then also closing sellers. He was acquisitions. So pretty much we were generating leads. He was doing everything else. And eventually we didn't get a deal while we were in school. But once we got sent home, that's where we really started getting a lot of leads, and we were building this pipeline. Like we took a lot of action on both ends, education wise, as well as just taking action, trying to get that first deal. So as we built a pipeline, we just kept following up. We were trying to do as much as possible the right way as we learned how to do it. And then slowly you start, getting the LLC, you start making that attorney relationship. And eventually you're just waiting for that person to say yes. So how, and then I think the first one we actually were about to do, we took it all the way to the finish line. And then there ended up being like a really big tax lien on the property. So it didn't work out for the buyer, but that really showed us from A to Z how to do a wholesale deal. So we were just waiting for the next person, and then like 2 months later or something like that, we were able to close on our first.
That's cool. I like that. That's awesome. For people who don't know, sorry, so we've spoke about wholesaling. This is what you guys were doing. For people on a high level, does one of you want to kind of explain what a wholesale is, how wholesalers work, how they make the money, and what their function is in an investment?
Yeah, so basically, it's when you find a property and you put it under contract at a certain price, and you find an investor who will then come in and pretty much flip the property, and they will basically buy it at a higher price. So you'll sign the contract to them and just take an assignment fee. So you're almost like the middleman in order to, there's like certain like 70% rule, which is basically like 70% of the after repair value is what the buyer will buy it at. And that's pretty much, just like an overall view of what it is. But I know that you did touch on that one of your friends kind of lost a lot during the economic downturn. And I think, I'm guessing he was probably like investing in like single family.
Sorry, that was a scenario that I hear people say all the time. It wasn't my story. Yeah. People. Everyone has a story about someone that they know that have lost money at some point during real estate, right? And that's the story that they cling to. That's the reality of real estate to them. When in reality, that's the exception, not the norm, right? And unfortunately, that's the thing that stops a lot of people getting into real estate. I feel like so it wasn't something that I had someone happen to me, even though I probably know someone that did something like that. But it wasn't.
And that's kind of the reason why we actually transitioned into multifamily, to be quite honest with you, because after seeing, our end goal was always kind of, passive income. And we kind of figured like, one, the economies of scale in multifamily are just so much greater. In single family, you can have a rental, but if they leave, like if your tenant leaves the house, that is 100% vacant. And with a 100-unit apartment complex, you can have 20 people leave and you're probably still able to pay the debt. So you'll pretty much be okay. And that's kind of why we transitioned into multifamily, just because we feel like it's definitely a safer investment. Typically, although it is kind of, it's a little bit more difficult and to get the deal and kind of underwrite. But, with anything, once you learn it, it's not as hard, Anything new is hard.
Yeah. And the thing is, right, with multifamily, it's hard, but it's attainable, right? It's doable. You can learn it and you can do it. But at the same time, there's more rewards for doing something that's harder, right? If it was easy, everyone would do it, right? If it was just a case of, buying a single family home is fairly easy. I don't want to say it's easy. I don't want anyone to think, oh, I'm a dummy because I haven't bought a single family home, but it's fairly easy, right? Because you get residential financing, there's a lot of stuff that it makes it quite easy to go through, and you don't have to underwrite it to the same level. But with multifamily, there's a lot more complexities that go into it. It's learnable, and you can do it, and everyone can do it for sure. But with that complexities comes more reward, in my opinion. And it's just like anything else. The harder it is, a lot of times the more reward that is to go along with that. But what was it? Because obviously wholesaling is a lot more transactional, right? From you can make that, like you said, I think you guys said you made $30,000 wholesale fee, right? Which is phenomenal, right? That's great, right? But you're on to the next one then, right? Once that check is signed, right, and it's in your bank account, you're on to the next one. You're constantly trying to find that next deal, and it can be very transactional, because if you don't have any of those deals coming in, guess what? You don't have any money coming in. But with multifamily, as you mentioned, it's different, right? You have that, I don't want to say passive, because it's not that passive unless you invest as a limited partner in a deal. But if you're managing these properties yourself in terms of asset management or whatnot, it can be quite time consuming. But you have that money coming in every month. What was it? Was it just reading? Was it networking? What was it that made you guys realize that you guys wanted that passive income or cash flow? Let's call it cash flow rather than passive income. And what was that light bulb moment for you guys when you realized that multifamily was where you wanted to be?
Honestly, like, the thing was, we just wanted cash flow, because we know the cash flow is very important with anything. Passive income, just, not having to work for the money just coming in. But I remember back when we first started, we would think, well, at least personally, I would think, what if we got 100 houses? But now that I'm looking back, now that I'm in multifamily, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like a nightmare, So, I mean, we, in the past, we've heard, I heard podcasts of people, investing in multifamily, doing multifamily syndications, and it caught my interest, but I never really looked into it deeply until we came across this guy named Alvin, and he just kind of went into it a little bit deeper, and we just figured, like, that's definitely something we could do. And since it's the end goal, I can let one of my brothers kind of go into it, but we pretty much decided just to, like we did with wholesaling, just jump in.
Yeah, his name is Alvin Hope Johnson. He's a pretty big syndicator, and he went on this mastermind group that we were on, and he really just opened our eyes to it. I mean, Kenneth and we'd heard about it, but we were really hyper focused on wholesaling, and that was actually a wholesaling mastermind. So when he had our attention, and I wasn't really even open to it when I was listening, but then he just started explaining it, and obviously a lot of it went over my head at first, but it was something that really intrigued me. And he obviously seemed like, he very successful. I liked the way that he said it was like everyone knows everyone, so it didn't seem like it was oversaturated, and that's kind of how we were feeling. Like, wholesaling is a great field, but we always knew it was going to be a stepping stone for us. We didn't want to be in it for more than a few years, but luckily, we were only in it for one. And we really just wanted to get to something, because we always knew that passive income was the end goal. And we just knew that wholesaling was going to be that stepping stone. But like Kenny said, we thought single family was going to be where we built that portfolio. But once we saw how attainable it is to build a portfolio in multifamily, because, we knew that commercial properties are much more expensive, but with syndication, that makes it a lot more of a possibility for people that might not have the capital.
Yeah, exactly. I had the same aha moment myself. My goal was 40 single family homes, and I was like, all right, 4 houses a year, 10 years. Okay. And I was planning to buy them on the MLS, because I didn't really realize about wholesalers and all this. I'm like trying to figure out every last penny, where every penny's going, and all this stuff. And then someone just came and blew my mind one day and said, hey, you can buy one 40-unit apartment complex, right? And my brain just literally exploded right in front of him, because I was like, wait, I can do this in one deal, and I don't have to go through all this. And like you said, you can use other people's money a lot more in these type of deals if you go the syndication route, right? You can pull people's money, and everyone can share the profits, and everyone owns this great piece of real estate. And it was just mind blowing to me, and it just seemed to make so much sense in every way. And I think, like you guys have noticed that, now I've fallen in love with multifamily, and that's where I want to be. When you guys started that transition, did you keep wholesaling, or were you like, okay, wholesaling's done, we're going to be deep into multifamily, or what was that transition like?
Yeah. So just like everything that we always do, we make sure to take action, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we're educating ourselves. So the first book we read was the best ever real estate syndication book by Joe Fairless. We treated that like a textbook. It was like an audiobook that we all bought. We listened to it, we took notes on it, and then we talked about it, and then we pretty much made a business plan. And luckily, in our wholesaling business, we were in the middle of scaling that, so we had read traction, and we kind of knew how to keep systems, and also the importance of diversifying roles. So the next step was for us to pick what roles we would do, and then we pretty much did that. So we kind of just like focused on our specific things, and we just started taking as much action as possible while learning on the way. The first couple of things that we really did was just Kenneth practiced underwriting, which he could probably go into. Kerwin ended up taking over the broker relationships, and I was really trying to attract capital, and that's what we're still doing. So I started a podcast. I'm big on social media by providing content that's valuable to people, as many people that would be interested. But I'm really targeting people that are young entrepreneurs or business owners who are looking to invest in something that's going to give them great returns, specifically real estate because of all the tax benefits and all the other benefits that come with real estate. But it was really just, this kind of goes into my question that you'll probably ask later, but it's just something that you kind of have to like overcome because it was very scary just jumping from it. So we definitely did, like, it was like January 8th of this year, 2021, that we were like, okay, this is what we want to do in the future. So why not just stop everything right now and let's just go all the way. And we were like, we sat down and we had like a 2-hour talk about the pros and cons of leaving wholesaling. And we just decided, you know what, this is something that we all want to do. And it was exciting again. It was just like every single entrepreneur journey that you kind of go into. It's very scary, but I've always been attracted to fear. I had the same feeling dropping out of college. I was very excited to do it because I feel like no one wants me to do this. So that must be a good thing. I feel like if everyone, you don't want to ever follow the herd, you know, like if everyone's doing the same thing, I don't really want to end up like that. So I kind of just want to go away from the crowd. And I feel like wholesaling was getting pretty crowded. So I was like, no one's doing this. Let's just do it. So we all made that decision. We jumped in. We did stop wholesaling marketing, but we still had deals coming in. Like our pipeline was still really big. So what we ended up doing was giving our pipeline to one of my best friends who runs a wholesaling business. And he's kind of giving us a percentage of the deals that he closes. But all the hot deals that we hadn't got under contract, we were still working those, but that was really easy. It took me like no time at all every week. It was really just income to help us into this business. So that's really how we transitioned, and just by taking action and really like things just started falling into place as we went on. We've been networking with a lot of people, and it's just been a really good start.
Yeah, and I just want to add, yeah, we did take action, but we're going to be honest, we dug our heels a little bit. And we were kind of hesitant to do it. And so once we listened to Alvin Hope Johnson in that meeting, we started thinking about it. And it was just something that was lingering in the back of our minds. And I was starting to kind of just lose interest in wholesaling because I was like, all right, like now that I know this exists, I can't like forget it. I can't, act like it doesn't exist anymore. And so we just started looking into it very lightly, and we started talking about it. And I think we were all kind of on different pages where we were like, all right, we don't want to be hopping what they call getting the shiny object syndrome. I was afraid that's what it would be. But after a while, like it didn't go away. And I was like, no, this is like, we can't ignore this. This is what we truly want. And what the guy that hosts the podcast, that meetup, his name's Josh. And he was like, I asked him his opinion. He was like, you know what, you have to take the straight path to where you want to go. So what is your end goal? And I said, passive income, building as big of a portfolio as I can. And he said, okay, what's going to get you there the fastest? And I was like, getting multifamily apartments. And he said, yeah, then why don't you just go to there? Why build out this wholesale business that's going to take just time, which, I keep saying this, but time is the most valuable thing we have. So, maximize your time, just do it. It's going to be maybe not, hard is relative. So, that's when we just really sat down and we said, we're all going to get on the same page, decide we're going to drop wholesaling in terms of like marketing on the day to day, and then just really focus on educating and then taking action in the syndication space.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. You said something there. I love it. Like hard is relative, right? Like working 9 hours a day for someone else for 40 years. That's hard, right? Underwriting deals and talking to brokers and going out and do what other people aren't willing to do. That's hard as well. But which one is really harder, right? To me, I would rather this hard, right? Choose your hard, right? I think this is saying that choose your hard, and I would rather this kind of hard than the other kind of hard. That's for sure. And I also like how you guys have talked about it individually a few different times now about you guys knew what your goal was, right? You knew what your vision was. You knew where you were going and what you wanted to be achieving, right? And because that wasn't serving you, wholesaling wasn't serving you, it made perfect sense for multifamily, and you were able to go that and go after it. And I think I think that's a lesson for anyone as well. Understand what you want, right? Understand where you want to be and what you want your life to look like, and find what serves that. And if it doesn't serve it, forget about it, right? And focus on what does serve it and what's going to get you there. And it's going to help you be a lot more
Yeah.
successful, I think. So where are you guys in the multifamily journey at this point? And sorry, one more thing as well. I wanted to commend you guys on as well. You each have a role, right? It's easy when you start out. Oh, let's all underwrite the deals. Let's all speak to the brokers. Let's all focus on raising capital, right? But I think it's so smart that each of one of you, and I'm sure there's overlap in all of this, and you all understand the basics of it. But by specializing in a certain part of that business, you'll be able to go so much further, right? Like Kenneth, you're underwriting, right? I'm sure your underwriting is got 10 times better at this point, and you're able to really focus and underwrite quickly, know what a good deal is like, right? And then Jeffrey, I think you're on investor relations, right? And then, you're all able to focus on one thing and really get good at that and go further with that. So I think that's brilliant, because it's easy to focus on everything and not get anywhere. But where are you guys in the multifamily journey at this point? Do you have any deals lined up? Do you have any, what's the latest with you guys?
Yeah. So, and kind of touch quickly when you touch on the vision. I'd say Napoleon Hill is someone that I credit that to. Just reading all of his books, it's really just having like an end goal, and pretty much the law of attraction works from that point on. If you're taking action every day, and you just really like you're for no reason at all, you're not going to stop. You keep going, and it'll happen. That's what we truly believe. But currently, we are still trying to get our first deal. We built a lot of broker relationships. Kenneth is underwriting a lot of deals. The market is really hot right now, so it's really hard to get deals. And Kenny can kind of go into that, but I just work on investor relations. We're building our investor database. Just trying to nurture these leads and pretty much getting soft commitments at this point. And once we get that first deal, we're just going to have an equity raise and try to close on it. We do have a partner that we do work with, Mark Kenny, out of Dallas, Texas. So any deal that we most likely go into, it'll be with him. And yeah, I'll let my brothers go into that as well. But like I said, we are still looking for our first.
Yeah. Just to kind of go back, and then I'll touch on that as well.
Yeah,
we've been really big since, and that's kind of what another thing entrepreneurship has kind of helped us with. I think as an entrepreneur, the growth mindset, and just the mindset in general is so powerful, because you have to grow as an entrepreneur, because if you're not growing, in staying static, you learn as an entrepreneur is not a good thing. So we personally love to grow, which is kind of why we knew where we wanted to go, and what the reason we knew where we wanted to go is because of our why. And it's kind of a long story as to how we found out Guatemala had a part to do, but having that vision is very, very important, because once you know how, you can kind of backtrack and kind of make steps for yourself to get there, whether those are like small goals, which are good to set to achieve that big goal, and things like that. But yeah, we're at the moment, I'm underwriting deals. I'm looking at 2 to 3 deals every single day, trying to submit LOIs, just doing market analysis, seeing what's working, where's working, who's moving where, as far as like migration trends, just really trying to get, familiar with the markets, and study the multifamily assets, watch cap rates, price per units in each market, just trying to learn everything.
Yeah, and I think you guys touched on it, but what markets are you guys focusing on your investment in terms of investment?
Primarily North Carolina, Georgia, and South Carolina. So really like Sunbelt states, to go like deeper in, like Durham, Raleigh, in North Carolina, Durham, Raleigh, Charlotte, outskirts of Charlotte, Triad as far as like Greensboro and Winston-Salem, in Atlanta, Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, and some outskirts of Georgia, Columbus, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, and then like around Spartanburg and stuff. Markets like those. And then we would not be anything in those states, like tertiary markets that any broker brings us, we're happy to look at. So, we're not necessarily opposed to it, but those are like the markets we're kind of focusing on.
And are you guys finding any challenges just starting out with no credibility? I say no credibility in the multifamily space, like, because if you don't have a track record in that, it can be challenging. Are you finding any challenges with that, and how are you guys overcoming that?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, that has been something that we've just had to take head on. I would say leveraging our partner, Mark Kenny, and his experience and credibility has definitely been a big help. But I think the main thing was just having the confidence. So like, I'm the one on the phone with brokers, having the confidence to just speak with them and know that I belong, and like I'm just, I haven't done a deal, but that's just because I haven't found one. I'm ready, yeah, I mean, and with the confidence goes a lot, just knowledge and education. So I've had to invest a lot of time into learning, because if I'm going to talk to them, I have to be ready to answer their questions and also ask the right questions. So yeah, I think that at first it was something that was a little daunting, but we overcame that with knowledge and practice. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's not going to get any easier to press send, but I just got to do it. And so once you do, it gets easier and you get more numb to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just acting as if you belong there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's really like a mindset thing, and also it's not like we're not hustling every day. Like this is something we're doing, so that kind of just gives you in its own way confidence, because it's not like you don't know what you're talking about. If you actually do and you work hard, you're gonna learn everything. So when you're on the phone with the broker, like you're just someone else looking to buy a property. There's nothing just because you don't have a track record yourself. That's why we have a partner, and he has a track record. That's why we're working with him. You know what I mean? So if you come across like someone who like you should, someone that knows what they're doing and is serious, there's no reason that you should. Some people won't want to work with you, but that's really not going to happen that often. Especially with my brother, he's done a great job just having that confidence on the phone, and brokers take him seriously because he treats himself seriously. He treats this. I mean, this is his business, so he goes into it that way. And with that attitude, I feel like that you're going to have success.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. Right, you guys have got a cool start. This is awesome. And, the cool thing is that I get to interview at the earliest stages, right, of your multifamily career. And hopefully in 6 months or a year time, we'll come back around. Then you guys will have a lot of units, I'm sure, on the contract. And then in 5 years time, you'll have even more. So it's cool to kind of see you guys at the beginning process of this. So it's really cool. And congratulations on everything you guys have done so far. But, there's a lot more to come, no doubt about that. But as this show is called Wrestling with Real Estate, and I think this part's going to be easy with you guys, I like to ask some wrestling related real estate questions. And the first question is, what would your wrestling name be? And I think we're going to go through each one of you. You're all going to give us what your wrestling name will be. So this will be fun.
Yeah, I'll go first. My name's Jay Smooth, because I feel like I've always been someone that can talk to people. That's why I'm on the investor relations side of the business. Any place I would be, I would always make a lot of friends. I would obviously have that fear, but I love talking to people. I love meeting people, and I'm smooth. You know what I mean? So that's why I call myself Smooth. Jay.
Okay, awesome.
For me, it would be the Kerwinator. That's like, first off, just something I like, but also I have the discipline of a machine. So yeah.
The coordinator. Okay, I like it. These are good.
I think I would name myself Energetic Kenny. My brothers know I am always energized, whether I've had 2 hours of sleep, no sleep, or 10 hours of sleep. Anything I'm doing, I'll bring energy to it. Any conversation I'm in, hopefully I'll bring some energy to it. I just like to, just give off that kind of vibration. So yeah, that would be my name.
Cool. Those are good names. I like it. So every wrestler has a special move. What is you guys' special move in real estate, you think? Or one of you, whoever's going to take this one.
Yeah, I would take this one. So I would say and I think I can speak on behalf of all three of us. I would say fearless / I would just say fearless, just because we've been known. Well, I could say fearless / faith, just because I think that would be our superpower. And we've been told, when we were first starting wholesaling, we were told like we were crazy by a lot of people because, we were either dropping out or we were just working for months, like 12 hours a day. And people would see this and they're just like, you're not getting paid. You're just working for free. You're crazy. So I would say fearless and faith, because we knew we would get to where we want to be. And also we're not scared to kind of transition. So when we transitioned into multifamily, although we were scaling, like we were starting to pick up a lot of traction in our old business and we were starting to make money. We weren't fearless. Like we were fearless to jump into something that we knew was going to be from ground zero again. So we just kind of took the jump, and I think that was a pretty bold move.
It was bold, yeah, because it's easy to stick in the comfort zone, and you make, like you said, you're getting traction, you're making money, and it's easy to stay there, right? But credit to you guys for taking that jump.
Thank you.
What's been the biggest body slam you've taken in your real estate career, in your real estate career?
I would say getting our first deal in real estate took 6 months, and we were really like looking, it was not looking good. I mean, we were running out of credit for Kenneth. So we were about to have to drop the dialer and have to start hand dialing numbers, and we were willing to do it. And I think that was a true testament to like how committed we were to it, because we could have just gone back to college and chilled. But Kenny, we had a talk and we said, we're going to start hand dialing. And I think it was a few days later was when we got the call back and we got our first deal. So I truly believe that was a test of faith. And like we kind of like to say that before every hill, there's a valley. So like, when something bad happens to us in our business or even our personal lives, we're like, okay, we know something good is coming because it can't get worse than this, and it's like, we truly see it as a test. And I think that's how people have to see obstacles. It's just another hurdle to get over, because there's something else on the other side. And it's just really like a challenge you have to overcome.
Yeah, and that's a great way to look at it, no doubt. So was there a moment that you were standing on the top rope, getting ready to jump, but you were too scared? What was it and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, and I would say the multifamily, going from single family to multifamily, it took us like we knew the whole time for like 6 months before we got into multifamily that we wanted to get into the multifamily space. But we just really was like, I was listening to podcasts, I was like hearing all the benefits, but that's all I was doing. I wasn't telling my brothers I wanted to do it. We were just not really talking about it. And then we just kept talking about it, and like slowly, one day we just had that conversation. We all, like, on a Saturday morning, we were about to start working like a regular schedule. We were like, why are we like not taking this step? Like, what's stopping us? And it was really fear. Like, that was the biggest, scariest thing, because all these people in the multifamily space are so much older than us, so much more experience. You feel like they have so much more money than you. There's so many different things that you can like say to not get into it. We were like, man, like, the one thing that we've never done was not do something because we were scared. Like, I dropped out of college for the same reason. I think I had to overcome was doing that. Like, everyone was telling me not to do it. Everyone was like, that's not the right move. Like, they're giving me advice, and you really have to take advice from the people that you really, really, would trade places with. So for us, it was just, where do we want to be? Like, who can we listen to? And all the multifamily real estate investors were all saying, this is something that I wish I would have got into earlier. And we just kept hearing that. So we were like, you know what, let's just go for it. And eventually we made the decision, and we have not looked back, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, and like you said, right, it's easy to think why you can't do something, right? But it's, you've got to focus on the positives, right? Focus why you can't do something, right? Because there's plenty of those reasons as well, and just focus on the positives. And it's awesome that you guys were able to do that. Well, guys, yeah, go ahead.
There was this quote that I saw the other day. It said it was two perspectives.
Yeah.
So one person was like, what happens if everything goes wrong? And then the other person said, but what happens if everything goes right? And I was like, man, like, there really is two perspectives to everything. Like, you can look at it either way. And it's like, typically, whatever way you look at it, that's the way it'll go.
It's so true, right? It really is so true, and that can really affect your outcomes as well, right? If you're always thinking, "Oh, this can go wrong, this will go wrong, and this will go wrong," blah blah blah, or if you're thinking, "What if this goes right? Or what if I'm successful? What if blah blah blah?" And it's easy to take action and build momentum and build success on that kind of outlook, because exactly. What you have in between your 2 ears is so important. How you use that, right? We all have somewhat similar. People would say my brain is smaller than most people, but there we go. But it's it's how you use it, right? How the decisions that you make every single day, right? And how you frame stuff is just immensely powerful. What you can do with that. But guys, this has been awesome. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate all three of you getting on at the same time. It's been pretty cool to talk to all three of you. So I appreciate that, and it's been a lot of great nuggets shared with you guys today. And no doubt, like I said earlier, you guys are on the path to success. I have zero doubt about that whatsoever. So that'll be cool to have you guys back on at some point, hopefully. But before we go, if people want to find out more about you guys, kind of what you're up to, what you're doing, and if they want to get in touch, how can they do so?
Yeah, you can go to pretty much any platform. You can search us up on at Donis Brothers. You spell our last name Donis, and then that's just Brothers with an S at the end. So Donis Brothers on every platform. We have a podcast called the Real Estate Monopoly Podcast with the Donis Brothers, and Barri Griffiths will be a guest on that. So you definitely want to check that
out. Yeah, and we're also coming out with a YouTube channel. So it's coming out real soon. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and have an awesome rest of your day out there, guys.
Thank you, Barry. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.